Hello, we are Eat This, Drink That. We got Ali Khan, TV host, Steve Greer, beverage expert specialist, and I'm Ryan Crosby, and we are going to do another tiki-based drink today with Steve. So, Steve, what's your drink that for today's episode?
All right, we're on to our third week of tiki drinks. Today is the oldest of all the tiki drinks, the Planter's Punch, late 1800s. Some people say it was invented at a hotel in South Carolina in 1880. There's a lot of people that take credit for this cocktail, but it's a pre-prohibition cocktail, so really no one cares about the origin. It's an old cocktail. It's also a very simple cocktail: rum, simple syrup, lime juice, grenadine, and Angostura bitters. And if you remember from the other two tiki, we use Angostura because it's Trinidad. Go ahead, Ali. I know you got something here.
I know. I just want to clarify for everyone at home. By definition, for Steve, simple equates to is a synonym for only 5 ingredients. But if it's 6, oh yeah, guys, just so you know, this one's got the big 6. The other ones were only 5.
Only 5.
I mean, you could count them on one hand. All right, what
5.
weirdo almond extract am I getting this time from Starbucks to make a cocktail?
And by the way, I don't find all the ingredients that I want that I used to buy in LA here in Denver. I'm not too pleased with that orgeat that I bought. I mean, it's a standard almond syrup. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. It's too sweet. So you have to watch sweetness on these things. There's a couple things about tiki drinks. We've already talked about it. Sugar in your other ingredients, you want to try to keep to a minimum. And then we're going to go back to rum for just a minute because I am not a traditionalist when it comes to the actual recipes. I'm not following what Trader Vic and Don the Beachcomber told me I had to use. I didn't use dark rum in the Mai Tai. This one technically is a dark rum too, but I like really flavorful rums. I'm using Smith & Cross again. This is that Jamaican pot still funk. I did try to find Plantation dark rum, which I think is an excellent dark rum. I couldn't find it. I only was able to find the silver that I used in the Mai Tai. It was Plantation 3. They also make 5. They make a dark, and then they make an ultra. I think it's called ultra dark. They're really good line of quality rums. I refuse to buy I won't say the name, but blah dark rum. I'm not going to buy that. That's not going to be in my house. So I'm using Smith & Cross. Just so you know, this does call for a dark rum, but this has a ton of flavor. So we're going to be just fine.
Do you like any dark rums? Or you like it's got the Plantation? It's got to be
that Plantation dark rum is really good. I've had some other ones. Is it it's the Kappa 23. I'm not using that in a cocktail. That's I think 60 a bottle. So Kappa 23 is amazing rum. I'm sipping that rum.
Okay.
And then is it Florida Cana? Also makes one that's pretty good. I just really like what Plantation does. The 3, the 5, the dark, and then I can't remember what the 4th one is called. I'm going to call it ultra dark. We're going Collins glass, and we're using a shaker because we have lime juice. This is not a shy drink. This is 3 ounces of rum. I mean, we're not just talking about a little neat. Yeah. And depending on, I made my own syrup. So the ratio of sugar to water is a little lower. You can also play around with infused syrups. For some of the tiki drinks, they call for Don's recipe. That's just cinnamon flavored simple syrup. So you infuse the simple syrup with cinnamon. There's no reason why you couldn't do that in here. If you're having a party, you're having a bunch of people over, you're going to have 4 or 5 different tiki drinks. Make 1 syrup. Don't make 3. You can just use the cinnamon syrup across if you wanted to. It's not overwhelming. So let's do our shaker ice in our tin. So this is the cube. It's a solid cube, so it doesn't overly dilute the cocktail. And then I'm using a Collins glass. I'm just using regular old simple. I still use spring water, but I'm not using large cubes in this. For the Mai Tai, remember we pounded out the ice into like a pellet. It wasn't as snowy as like a restaurant. You could do that with this Planter's Punch. There's a lot of rum in this. You're not knocking this drink back that quick. So you're going to get more dilution that way. So I try to stay away from sadness of dilution. So 3 ounces of rum. Did you guys catch that?
Oh.
3 ounces of rum. I have a soft spot for this drink for some reason. I like this drink. Yeah, I mean, you could make it a 4 ouncer if you wanted to. It's a Collins glass. I mean, there's a lot of room in here.
That's a double.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for these glasses. That's why I use these. These were my grandmother. They're old. They're lightly tinted. I don't know. I think she would approve of me drinking out of them.
There is something about those glasses. I like the shape. I like the name. But when I first saw it, I was like, "Is this from Marshall's?"
I feel like a Tom Collins is like a drink you only have in Vegas or something. It's like one of those it just is so old school.
It is. At its best, it's old school. It also reminds me of college, where it's like, oh, I'll have a what's the name of a drink? Oh yeah, Tom Collins. You know what I mean?
You don't know what to order. Yeah.
So that was 1 ounce.
Yeah, it's like it's making syrup.
1 ounce of simple syrup. Now we're doing 3/4 lime juice. Now, let's talk about another ingredient. I could have bought grenadine. I tried to find a boutique producer of grenadine that automatically would have a little less sugar. I'd never use grenadine. Grenadine is pomegranate with a ton of sugar. That's why little kids who have surly temples run around the restaurant like delinquents. It's because the amount of sugar that is in grenadine.
Okay.
That was amazing.
Yeah. So I just use pomegranate juice.
Okay. Oh,
not as much sugar.
There's the hat.
Yeah.
There's the hat.
You don't have to use all that sugar in grenadine. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to not have as much sugar. So this could go up to about 3/4. I'm just going to flavor it like using bitters. I'm just putting a couple dashes in. The color changes a little bit. You're getting some of the pomegranate flavor. And if it's not enough, after I shake, after I strain and I'm drinking it, I can always add a little bit more because it's just juice. It's not grenadine with all that sugar. So now Angostura, few dashes Angostura from Trinidad. So it is from the islands.
I was imagining Steve making his own pomegranate juice in that white shirt and looking like he just murdered someone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and he's explaining how there's that's the problem with pomegranate. Pomegranate's delicious, but you just feel like a bird, all that crud, and you're like, oh wow, this is growing fruit. Fruit's good for you, and you're chewing on seed.
And it takes an hour to eat a pomegranate. Right. You have to set time aside to sit on the stoop and eat a pomegranate. It's not like you're just eating an orange. All right, so we got juice, remember? So we're shaking. We're going to do 30 seconds. I'm not doing 30 seconds because the listener really doesn't want to hear me.
Drink. It just kind of
3 ounces.
Scares me.
It's 3 ounces of rum. But look at this color. I love the color. And look, so
there we go.
Now
that's looking
the
like
other ingredient.
Most of the tiki drinks I have is
by far
club soda, just for a little effervescence on top. Whoop. So I fill it, maybe an ounce went in there. That's just for effervescence.
Okay.
Mint, sprig, and Planter's Punch.
This is the drink I'm sure that has ruined me at the tiki bar. Because it would come in some giant coconut, and you're like, "Ooh, that's strong." And then I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's weird how it's like you're just lured into going. Let me have like an obscenely large amount of alcohol, per serving.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, I don't know, you spend, I mean, back in the day, 15, 16 bucks, you're like, wow, that's a lot. But you're like, oh, you only need one, maybe two. And then you're like,
yeah,
in the coconut.
That's it.
Oh.
That's the face of somebody sitting at a tiki bar where they use a lot of sugar in their drinks and crappy rum. It comes in a bathtub. You get a bathtub when you sit down, and then they wheel you out in a shopping cart.
It is
All right,
crazy.
look at that color.
And then
you can always add a little more pomegranate. That to me is plenty of pomegranate. The flavor. So I get the funk from the rum. I get the effervescence from the club soda. I get the lime juice that's coming through. And then I get right at the back, I get that pretty pomegranate flavor. So this is plenty for me.
That's a friggin' drink, though, kid. I mean, like that is, wow.
Let's add this up. 4 ounces. This is 6 ounces. 6 to 7, depending on how long you stay.
The generic. There's a funny website I found from doing these episodes called Tiki instead of Wiki. There's Tiki. But yeah, the Planter's Punch recipe is saying orange juice.
You can. I've seen a bunch of different recipes. This is a little more straightforward.
Luckily, the first one that came up on my search has the mint for the so that's good. But the rest of them have cherries, oranges, lime, pineapple, everything but mint. Oh, I see one with a half-cut pomegranate sitting next to it. So lots of variations on these drinks.
Yes, because everybody's kind of got their hand in just creating the cocktail. I think this might be one of the original recipes. This cocktail goes back to the 1800s, 1880s, 1890s.
Right.
So there's going to be a ton of different variations of this.
I feel like there's a signature here. It's the Greer signature, and it even applies to wine and stuff. And I think that, when you really appreciate wine and spirit, I don't know how this works with beer, but you're aware of sugar and you're trying to not go bananas. And I think part of the issue with rum drinks is that it blends to the whole, oh yeah, I'm thinking something large in a pineapple and lots of tropical, basically a lot of like adding a lot of sweetness to ultimately mask the rum. And all your drinks are about showcasing the rum and complementing it. And I think it's interesting. I can only speak for really, I feel like a lot of people feel like this, but I feel like, we don't really understand how to really experience rum as much as we think, because you have these slew of, drinks, cocktail drinks from the tiki culture that can certainly mask the rum versus complement it. Sugar.
That's a really good point. So when I first sipped this cocktail, the way this recipe is, the first thing I taste is rum. I taste rum. And then comes along the brightness of the lime juice, the citric acid, and then behind that is the pomegranate. And then the simple syrup is really maybe like a binder that kind of keeps all these ingredients together. It's not sweet, but I know it's there. Hey, Ryan, how much orange juice in the recipe you're seeing?
It was saying it's like saying like equal parts, basically. Like equal parts rum and orange juice.
That's gross.
That sounds like a bad idea. Yes.
I wonder if this is for that Navy grade. You know, I wonder if the sweetness comes from having those really high proof rums, maybe in the drinks.
Navy strength rum.
Yeah, if you have the lower 40 or 45s, it's probably great to have much less sugar. But maybe if you got these really high spirits, you got to just pour pineapple juice and orange juice in there.
That's a lot of orange juice in a cocktail. That's almost like a screwdriver. That's too much.
Yeah.
It's sounding like, I feel like in learning the Greer school of cocktail making and stuff, you want to add sweetness by not by volume per se. You don't want to just be like, we're trying to get away from the Jack and Coke world where it's like, it's equal parts or whatever. OJ. I mean, I don't know.
I don't even like cocktails with OJ at all.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
He's just he shut that one down.
Yeah. Is that Plantation? What's the name of that drink? I know I've seen some that are called Plantation.
Planter's Punch. And you know what? It's funny because I didn't have it open enough. So there's even more juice. So it says 1.5 dark rum, 1.25 fresh orange juice, 1.25 pineapple juice. So there's a lot of juice.
They also add that's too much juice.
Sugar and syrup, almost an ounce of lemon juice. So this one's just a juicy
it's just
drink
they
made.
It's juice.
Yeah.
And someone ordered juice.
Add up how many ounces that is. That is back to the fishbowl. We're in a fishbowl now, and you're walking around with a big straw. I mean, add up all those ounces on that.
Yeah, you know what it is, dude. Then it's like, you want a sip too?
It needs a lot more liquor.
Is this a 2-straw, 1 coconut drink?
Yeah.
I think that's what we found. All right, cool. Let me see that drink one more time.
Wait until we get to our final episode of Tiki. We're going to the battering ram of Tiki drinks, the Zombie, which has 3 rums in it. I mean, this, and the reason why I bring that up is because you're talking about only 3 ounces of rum with all that juice. You don't taste the rum anymore. I want to taste the rum,
right?
And I like all the other flavors that kind of layer upon the rum. You're not going to be able to mask the rum for the next drink from the Zombie, which will be next week. But Ali, so that's the color.
Definitely. All right. So clearly, again, this is all new territory for me because I just am not really experienced. Clearly, the rums you're using and just what this kind of application of rum drink is, which is using premium rum and complementing it with less volume with the mixers or the additions, right? But what would you think? Would you think because that drink strikes me as a drink with bite. So I think if I'm going to eat something with it, I would also want to be eating something with a lot of bite. And I'm thinking about a very aggressive ceviche like aguachile, which I've had them in Mexico, it's like it's almost like you're on the hot one. I mean, it's maybe not quite that far, but it's very. You're at one point you're like, I don't know if I'm enjoying this. Like this is so spicy, and it's just you're having, especially when you get that good chewy shellfish, the octopus, the calamari, shrimp, sure. It's just like kind of like you're just having this bit of flavor. It's not so much that you're getting full off of it, you know what I mean? And then you have the bite of that drink. I don't know what you get your thought there on that kind of flair.
I love that idea because I love that idea. We haven't even crossed that seafood category with all the foods that we've talked about for Tiki drinks. My first thought with this drink is grease. I want greasy food with this. But I like the idea of a ceviche, but a very, very spicy, fiery ceviche. Combine those into some sort of, richer fish dish that also has spice and maybe a little more fat in it too. But yes, I like that.
Some bratwurst or something. Get like a sausage or a bratwurst in there maybe for the grease.
I don't think you could go wrong with like that kind, like a meat board. You know what I mean? Lots
Yeah.
of different sausages and stuff.
Right.
But there's something where I'm like, well, and I also think mustard. It's weird. And without ever having these kinds of runs that drink, I just feel like that drink's got bite. So what else has bite? Mustard, spicy, like
Yeah.
whatever that food is. But I can't really imagine having it with it's like it's a nibble's worth. Do you know what I mean? It's like how that sip is just a sensation of the bite. I mean, it's not a volume kind of drink. You just want to have that little bite of something. Some would have
There's a lot of flavor. There's a ton of flavor in every sip. I mean, it's not just one note when you have a sip of this cocktail. There's a lot going on. I like this idea. You could do Baja Mexican food. You could do Veracruz with all the seafood dishes. Even probably some Yucatan, Oaxacan, Guelaguetza down on Olympic in LA. Those kind of dishes, I think, would work really well here too.
Yeah, we keep coming back to also those braises and stews with rum. Very interesting.
Yeah.
How they kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there's a lot of There's no nuance except for how you handle the sugar additions.
Yes. That's a
good
good
stuff.
point. That's a good point. So when I'm thinking about sitting around just drinking tiki drinks, I'm almost being lazy. I want to sit back. I want to talk to people. I want to have my cocktail. What's the best lazy food for backyard, barbecue, stews, all that stuff, grilled meats, just grilled fish, kebabs. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Planner's Punch.
Killer.
Planner's Punch sans a boatload of juice.
Yeah, clearly.
Nice.
Good
Thank
good
you
pull,
so much.
Crosby. Don't put pineapple, orange. Sounds like an Ocean Spray commercial.
All right, guys. Well, let's sign off on this one. Got the Planner's Punch from Steve. What a drink.
Yeah, seriously.
Loving it. Yeah. All right. Well, we got one more episode of Tiki coming for you guys. That's coming up next. We will see you soon. Eat this, drink that.
Bye, guys.
Don't drink that whole thing.